Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hey everybody, how y'all doing? Good morning, good evening, good afternoon to you, wherever you are, whatever time it is when you listen to this. Welcome to my channel. Alright, so this is for Life Path 33. Shout out to the 33s up in here, right? The master teachers, right? Hopefully you guys are doing okay. I'm really, really hoping you guys are doing all right, right? So I remember, I recall stating that I was going to do you guys' readings. I wasn't going to do them at the time that I initially did the life path readings, primarily because it was to test if you had a clear understanding of what it is to be in the master number portion, right? Which means it's certain things that you're supposed to already know, certain things you're supposed to get a good idea of. Okay, now master numbers are the numbers of your birthday, right? And they're reduced down to a single digit unless it's 11, 22, or 33, or 44. It's not all that common to get the 44, but in some instances it does happen. Or a 55, anything higher than 44 typically, is really, really, really uncommon. Okay, so that being said, of course, not all readings are going to resonate with everyone. If it doesn't resonate with you, that's okay. That is okay. That simply means that this reading isn't for you. All right. So that being said, I'm gonna do you guys' reading just a little bit differently, right? Than I did the single digit life path. Right, is going to be what it is that you would have learned, that information. Then we're going to discuss what it is that will be going on and what will be coming in for you. Okay? All right. So without further ado, right? We got being protected. We got Seven of Wands, Ten of Wands reverse, King of Wands, Queen of Swords, Three of Swords reverse, Nine of Swords reverse, Knight of Wands, Eight of Wands, the World reverse, Eight of Swords reverse, Five of Pentacles, Six of Swords, okay, Six of Swords, King of Cups, Three of Cups, Knight of Pentacles reverse, Four of Swords reverse, Seven of Pentacles reverse. All right. And then it being the overall essence of Knight of Pentacles. All right. So basically, what it is that would have been learned, 33s, right? Right off the bat, there are a lot of different court cards. It's not a lot of major arcana, though. So, in short, what this is telling me is there were a lot of situations that would have come into place with you within recognizing some incomplete cycles outside outside of what it is you would have thought. And then there was some situation. A lot of the situations that come into place is realistically due to, I'm gonna go ahead and say, egos, because when you're in a court situation, court cards, or a part of royalty, right? There's a certain amount of ego that you must have in order to, I want to utilize the word execute, but in order to put in place, right? What it is that would be right for all of those people who would be under you, like in these varying situations. Okay. Um, Ultimately, in this first line, because a lot of this is about the whole shifting of essences within how things will be organized and there will be help. Okay. Some of the other stuff it is that I'm seeing is like it's split down the middle. One side would lead up to the King of Wands, the other side realistically starts with the Queen of Swords. So realistically, it's about the actions that will be directed, how actions will be directed, or directives. So ultimately, what it is that will be put in place in regards to protecting the relief of the burdens that comes within one taking action in regards to how direct one is within not being heartbroken and not having the clarity of one's heart, within there not being anxiety and not being anxious about this, about the Knight of Wands or the Knight of Inspiration. In short, the actions that come into place with this Knight of Inspiration and communication of a cycle being open. Cycle being open, things being undone, right? Outside of one's mind in regards to asking for assistance in having movement. And the doing of that comes into place with celebrating one not making an offer and not healing a bad investment. Mm. Ultimately, what it is overall is giving the okay teachers right back in the day, and this is something that was really unfortunate because teachers get paid the least amount of everyone, but everyone needs teachers in order to have a certain amount of enlightenment. Okay? What used to happen with teachers would be that, they would go to the different, it used to be like a clientele situation, for real. Um, Especially in this time frame, right? And with them being a master teacher, I'm pretty sure that you already know this. So this is just me giving a refresher. And what it is that would have taken place is the teacher would be issued a stipend, basically by each family. Some families, when they were too poor, they would get food. Um, Others were able to actually commission the lesson. Okay? So I feel that it's important that I said it in that way. Commissioning a lesson. Ensure when you get to a certain level, which is very true because when you get to higher levels of education, you have to pay out of pocket for it. It's no longer a free education because that information is pertinent to a particular, is pertinent and patent to a particular career field of study. Even if you want to be a professor, whatever, what have you, right? Now, even in that regard, they still don't make as much as those people that they would have produced or given grades to, right? And if you have a love of teaching, you just like teaching, right? You'll do it because you love it, not you because it's a lot of money in it. Okay, so it's that part. The other portion of it, right, within one not coming not coming in with an offer, right? Not moving slow with an offer is kind of what this is giving. It'll be in regards to what goes on and happens with the communications of cycles not being complete outside of one's mind. In short, you'll think that something will be getting done, and the reality of it is that it's not. That's just like with homework and taking notes in this whole situation. If you don't take notes, you can miss something. You can't retain everything. And you could tell people who don't take notes because they like to ask the same question over and over and over again. For instance, I remember it was this one time, and it was actually fairly recent. A gentleman asked me the exact same question like 4 or 5 times. I gave him 4 or 5 different answers, and realistically, he was just harvesting my essence, right? He already knew the answer to the questions, 11:11 when I said that. In short, you already, when you get those people who already know the answer to the question, but they still want to keep asking you the same question to kill time, basically is what that boils down to. People asking the same things on repeat just to kill time. Okay? So it's that portion. Uh, that would be things it is that master teachers would know. Also, I keep wanting to say dichotomy. As a master teacher, you want to eliminate those students because the reality is they aren't learning and they're holding up the process for those people who are really willing to learn. They're willing to learn, they're ready to learn, it's the paradox that comes into place for the teacher of whether or not you're engaging that student enough to make them interested in the lesson. Now, when we're dealing in this realm, it'll be about engaging an individual enough to learn life lessons, right? It's not going to be in regards to them learning math, right? Or them learning English. This is, or even communications, right? English is a part of communications, but there's a certain level of communications that comes into fruition within this diaspora. Okay? So, there's that portion. The other part of it, right, that comes into place with it would be the understanding of how one would inspire communication, right? Within a cycle not being complete, outside of the mind. And it'll also be about asking for assistance. One of the things I will say is teachers, as a teacher, you shouldn't have to beg for a person to learn. You shouldn't have to beg to receive reciprocation on what it is that you would have taught. Because information is deserves an equal exchange. Okay? So there's that portion. These are things that it looks like you guys have learned in regards to what would happen is how there will be a celebration in a third party situation. Ultimately, that would prevent one from coming in and would prevent healing and would constitute it as a bad investment. Some of the other stuff it is how a person would have been healed 7 years ago. Within the wasting of time, if you're trying to repeat the same cycles from 7 years ago, Um, that means part of it is uh, 33 is what it looks like you're learning is how different seeds it is that would have been planted, how you may not have felt the seed be planted, but it would have been. And realistically, if the seed didn't take root. Not all seeds are good seeds, right? This is something that we're learned that, like I said, this is things that we already know that's being displayed in regards to offers not being made, one not coming in with offers, um, and one not providing stability. In this time and day and age, oh my goodness, what was the term? It was a particular term that was given to teachers in the house. I don't think it was called a magistrate. It could have been. Magistrate is a word that's coming to me, but it's oh goodness, what is the it? It wouldn't be a countess of the house. It would be a something of the house. I'm gonna have to look that up. And you know, as a master teacher, you can always learn more. You can always learn more. In short, when you're a master teacher, part of being a master teacher is knowing that there's always something more for you to know. Even if you're an expert in certain aspects, even if you're an expert, none of that stuff matters. Okay? None of that stuff matters. Okay? So, 33s, Life Path 33s, these are different things that you already know and that you know now or that you're learning or that you would have learned already in regards to realistically the situations that surround a lot of things. One of the things that I did notice was under this King of Wands, the cycle being incomplete and one not coming in and one not walking in an offer, and then with this Queen of Swords, one not being on their mind and not healing. So it's that part. Let me see what else. Yeah, because within the directness, and then how being direct is very healing. It'll be the truth of the spirit of a situation. Okay, 33s. I'm trying to see if it's anything else. Because I'll take my time with you. And what it is to not make an offer in regards to communications, not making an offer, not being able to communicate, because it would be about a third party situation or business or whatever what happened. Okay, all right. So that's that part, 33s. Okay, with the doing of love being the celebration or being the focus that'll come into place with things. Doing the love and doing what you love is pretty much what that's given. All right. So now what we're going to see. Okay. Now what we are going to see. Like I feel inclined to say light work ain't light work. Light work ain't light work. It ain't light work. It is not for the faint of heart. Ultimately is what it boils down to. There we go. other portion of it, right? We finna kick into what it is that will be going on now, right? What is some of the different situations that could possibly be happening? Oh, okay. Knight of Wands, walking in one's inspiration, a night of inspiration, and what inspires people. Everybody learns differently. What it is that everyone would learn differently within the night of inspiration, not fulfilling one's wishes. In short, the night of inspiration, in short, it's not going to fulfill one's wishes, and that being the truth. Anything else? Okay. And not being recognized. Well, with this Queen of Pentacles. Okay. Not being recognized in regards to the Queen of Pentacles. Being able to go on another day and not being a magician, not manifesting, going on another day as a wizard. It's a lot of different situations that's going on, but not manifesting. Okay. Not manifesting spiritual connections. Up as one comes in with an offer of stability. Childlike. For some of this is going to be about the mirror reflections that come with one coming in with an offer of stability and moving quickly. Some of this is going to be about the incoming wish fulfillment. Wait a minute. Yeah, some of this is going to be about the incoming wish fulfillment that comes with the magician. Oh. Inside one's mind. In regards to, some of this is going to be about obsessions. The other portion of this is going to be about the structure of things. How things will be structured. Okay, yeah, because one of this other thing is how a person wouldn't, I'm not even, it's coming, a person wouldn't be pregnant. A person being pregnant and that being the truth and it not being recognized by this Queen of Pentacles. Well, someone who would be constituted as emotionally stable. And the emotional stability, I feel so inclined to say the emotional stability that completes the cycle for one not manifesting. And so, yeah, how a person would be a block. A person would realistically be the reason why someone wouldn't be able to manifest things. I just heard the be careful who you follow. Yeah. On the and how one would need to be careful who it is that they would follow on the not only on the humanitarian scale, but also in regards to being an extension of someone or something else. Oh my goodness. And then one not winning at all costs. What it is for one not to win at all costs. One of the things that's coming to me is it was another reader, right? I'm hearing Life Path 4, okay, possibly. But it was another reader, and she was orchestrating a whole bunch of stuff that was going on not only on a humanitarian scale, right? But she had everything it was she needed, and she was just realistically doing it. Yeah, she was just really doing shit for the hell of it. I remember that woman's name because she was a mess. She was. And also understanding uh, for Life Path 33, when you know more, you do more. And just because a person constitutes as a quote unquote karmic, karma comes into it has this duality, just the same as everything else. Karmics can be good, karmics can be bad. Now, what ends up happening is egos. An ego will drive the good into the bad. So, felt inclined to say it, so I did. The overall essence of pleasure. Pleasure being a spirit, knowing who the person is would be a spiritual connection. Spiritual connection, life, um, childlike, all those various aspects. And then with there being this influence of community that will be projected, the community projected would be rejected. Oh my gosh. And then there would be Princess of Disc. Then there would be a small offer of stability. How one then wouldn't offer or stabilize anything. I really feel inclined to say this. All skin folk ain't kin folk. Master teachers, we all know this because like minds, they say like minds think alike, brilliant minds think alone. Now, some people can take that as an egotistical mindset, but it's only egotistical in when you're by yourself. There's a different type of clarity that you get when you are, say for instance, an empath or telepathic. Okay? When dealing in telepathy, you definitely are on a particular wavelength, but that wavelength is depicted by the level that one would be on, or the vibration is a better word, that one would be on. Just because a person is on a particular, like if you're really drained, your vibration is going to be lower. Even if you're a higher vibratory individual, your vibration is going to be lower, right? You just wouldn't know how to revive or rejuvenate your vibration to its original state, right? And also paying attention to what your rising sign is because that can give you a whole nother perspective. But Life Path 33, you already know these. These are some things that I'm pretty sure you're aware of. Now, what will be coming in with what it is that you know? right? It'll be about the whole aspect of, like I said, to piggyback, right? Wishes being fulfilled in regards to recognizing the magician inside of one's mind, winning at all costs, or there being this competition for making a small offer of stability. Now, True Enough is saying small offer of stability, but we all know that as it manifests, it doesn't always come out to be a small offer. Big things come in small packages, is basically what that boils down to. Okay? Let's see what we got clearing out and what it is that you would know and what it is that will be going on. Something that I'm hearing is don't talk about the kids. What it is with the kids. That's interesting. That's interesting. But let's get some more information in regards to this. With this, what it is that will be clearing out. No, because what it's feeling like is I'm hearing, pull this amount, do this, do that, do this, do that. That's someone who's really controlling and they just don't know how to surrender to the flow of things. And then there being the strength. It'll be about strength. And how one would control within what it is they would be taught, how you would control what lesson it is that would need to be learned in regards to it, in regards to varying aspects. Yeah, because the one thing that I learned as a teacher, right, is there is nothing like if you sat in front of a classroom full of children, right? And when I say children, realistically, that is anyone under the age of 25. So serious because their brain hasn't fully developed and they still have a lot of different choices it is that they have to make. But when you sit in front of a classroom full of children, full of people, little tiny people, because I do call them that, it ain't nothing like reviewing some stuff with them they already know. Continuously reviewing the same things that they already know, saying the same things, not having any new insights. It's like at the beginning of the year, you should be able to review what was learned last year. You should be able to review that and get them caught up and on task within the first month. It should not be all drawn out all the way until, yeah, until mid semester. Come the time of Thanksgiving, it should be new skills involved and new skills applied and new skills mastered already. 3344 when I said that. Waiting to do that when there's more time, that actually sets the children back, opposed, or it sets the classroom, the pupil is a better word. It sets the pupil back, opposed to allowing for them to show their true trajectory. It makes them bored, it makes them not want to participate, and it also feeds and funnels the imprisoning system. It's a programming system that'll come into place. And I don't know about you, but if you have ever sat in a classroom full of pupils who are restless, oh my gosh, it's ridiculous. It is so ridiculous in regards to what it is that goes on with blocking spiritual connections and all this other stuff that can or will or do go on. And then there being this um unhappiness, right? Unhappiness not being family. And that'll come into place within the emperor. Not being family, not having family, right? And there also being the aspects that come in regards to the incoming happiness within one being heartbroken and having heartache, and then there being the different manipulations that would ensure that a person would be heartbroken. Yeah, because you get some pupils who just really do enjoy learning, and that's where you get independent study. And if you're a master teacher, yeah, when you're a master teacher, you get to really identify, those students who would benefit better from independent study opposed to keeping them on track with everybody else. The Hierophant, so the commitment and the transcendental spiritual truths that are associated with spirit, also with having the keys and knowing more in regards to what it is for one not to expand and for 3 years ago. And how 3 years ago a person wouldn't have been constituted. I heard 3 years ago the priestess would have already been revealed. Yeah, and who is and isn't a high priestess? And I heard destiny swapping. Yeah, with that life path 33s. Yeah, that probably did happen a lot with us. People trying to do the destiny swaps and things of that nature. Because you have a different calling on your life. You could realistically, when you're a master teacher, you could teach anything. You could teach in this regards financial stability, actions that would need to be taken. You can collect information. You know how to, what it is that will be projected inside of the community, outside of the community. You also even understand what it is to not have everything necessary to manifest situations, all of it, okay? And you would also understand what constitutes as not waiting, and what constitutes as bad investments. Some stuff it was that would have happened 3 years ago that would have made it a bad investment. Okay, let's review the nature of it, and then we can get some angel guidance. Okay, it being time to ground. If you want to know something, it's really important for a person to ground, especially with you, us, 33, especially because then you get to see who's really paying attention, and what's actually going on in short, what's actually going on outside of the matrix. And with the deep spiritual connections that come into place with the community, how when you reject a deep spiritual connection, it's something completely different. Um, and it can be really heartbreaking. Right now, the thing is, as a master teacher, we get heartbroken when a person don't learn a lesson. So we learn to just have our heart open on a continuous basis to make things easier for all parties involved, because we would know, okay, how just because a person has the potential to do something doesn't mean that they have the willingness or the ambition or the obsession to complete it. Okay? 3911, when I said that, make the sacrifice, time to ground, make that sacrifice, and it be in the nature for one to sacrifice time, effort, essence, stability, because as a master teacher, in order for people to learn different things, the incoming of revealing the truth, or one revealing their truth, when you make sure they have everything it is that they need. I know personally, when I was teaching, I did have to make sure I kept food around, and I also had to guard and protect the mental, emotional, and psychological, and in some cases, even the financial aspect of the pupils. The reason being is when the basic needs aren't met, that's what that Hierophant portion is. The basic needs aren't met, and they can't be inspired. You have to be able to inspire those people around you and surrender to the flow. It being one's nature to surrender to the flow. Now, the incoming portion would be about revealing the truth, or how it is one would reveal their truth and reveal your truth in regards to cords being cut. Ask Archangel Michael to clear any old attachments to fear that stem from past relationships, freeing you from destructive patterns. Mm-mm-mm. And it being about past life issues. Yeah, how somebody will try and pick up the fight for someone else, possibly because they will be under their control, is definitely one of them. The other thing is the negligence. Okay, I'm hearing this. The negligence that comes into place with one falling short in their growth, meaning they didn't grow as much as they should have in a particular time frame. This situation has a basis in one of your previous lifetimes. Ask your angels to help you remember, release, learn, and heal from your past experiences. One of the things that happens in regards to past life issues, let me go ahead and say this. They repeat in your current life. Now, if you've gotten to this stage where you can identify that you are whatever, especially if you can identify that you're a master teacher, that means that to some capacity you've had to facilitate information, right? So, in one of your past lives, what it is, it will probably be a saddening situation because a student wouldn't have learned. You would have done everything you needed to facilitate the information, but for whatever reason, they didn't collect it. 4222 when I said that. Okay? In short, what it is that they would have nurtured about stability and practicality that would have come into place with being a master builder or with building. And the other portion of it being if a building was in poor health or in poor structure. Okay. Uh, Now the other portion of it is that would come as influences would be being an earth angel and the workshops and seminars that would have come into place. The influence of you are a light worker who has come to earth to teach about love, and attending and giving speeches is part of your spiritual path and purpose. Be open to teaching and learning. Within being a master teacher, I say this when it shows up for other people, but I don't feel like I should have to say it, but I'm going to because I know there are going to be cross watchers. Within the attending and giving speeches is part of your spiritual path and purpose. Be open to teaching and learning. A lot of this is dealing in regards to competition. How it would be believed that one teacher is better than another teacher based off credentials and following. This is what I mean. I remember I was at one particular school and I learned that the students that I had, right, they enjoyed the traditional sense of learning vocabulary and applying it to the English language. Now, the situation that took place was they had split a class, right? And it was smaller class sizes, 4411, as I said this. There were smart, there were smaller class sizes. Now, because the district did not want to fund two teachers, they put all these kids together and made them shift from a more independent learning mode to a more collective learning mode. And later on down the line, while there were certain benchmarks that were met by most of the students, now the data would show that all of the students could have reached that benchmark, opposed to just some of them had it stayed at smaller class sizes. This is something that in the master teaching, you do better with small groups of people or small groups teaching and learning opposed to huge groups teaching and learning. You want to know why? Because in a huge group, so much stuff gets lost in translation and in finding relatable instances so everyone can understand and stay on task. Okay? Now, within this whole influence of being an earth angel and the workshops and seminars, what I'm thinking is this is in regards to what it is to be a light worker. For some people, it turns out that it's going to be dealing with cameras, right? As it's manifested, we know this. Sometimes it's dealing with cameras, sometimes it's dealing with lighting, sometimes it's dealing with filters, sometimes it's dealing with just being able to shine your light as an individual by showing who you are and what it is that you do on a continuous basis. Now, it is not your responsibility to make a person look at the light, it is just your responsibility to shine it. Okay? So, hopefully that helps you out, Life Path 33, right? I hope that helped you guys out. Gave you a tad bit of an inclination as to a few different things it is that will be going on and that will be coming in for you. Basically, it's going to be about how things will be structured in different investments, based out of some of the things that would have taken place with the past life issues, and it's going to be a testament of what it is that you would have learned through being spiritually connected to individuals, whether it be from the past life or it be from future and present. Okay? All right. Well, light and love to y'all. Okay? Because, see, remember, light work, it ain't light work. It is not light work. It's not light work. And that's why you have to stay light. Well,